Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the saturation of short-term rentals. I have been hearing this from several short-term investors that they are seeing a slowdown in rentals lately. Many are blaming this on the short-term rental market becoming oversaturated. While that is a strong factor, I also believe that due to the economy, people are simply not traveling as much as they did during the pandemic when they were getting cabin fever. So, are short-term rentals on the way out? Not at all, in my opinion. But if you want to increase bookings, here are 6 nuggets you can try. Number 1, make your property stand out from the others. Add that funky wallpaper, hire a professional photographer, include extra amenities like beach bikes. Whatever you choose, you want your guests to have that wow factor. Number 2, consider allowing pets if you don't already. This is the number 1 amenity searched for on the Airbnb platform. Plus, you can add a pet fee and recoup some of that money you lost during the slow season. Number 3, create an experience for your guests. Orlando is one of the most saturated markets for short-term rentals. However, the most popular short-term rentals there have a theme. I have seen some cool Harry Potter ones, princess themes, Star Trek, you name it. Number 4, choose destination locations. We have a tiny cabin in the mountains of North Carolina, and it is our little cash cow. We advertise it as a couple's retreat, and it has never slowed down. Speaking of tiny homes, there's an investor near me that built a super cute tiny home village in the middle of nowhere, and it's booked several months out at a time. Number 5, update your listing regularly. Whenever you go into your host site, change a word or two in your listing. This update will bump your listing to the top of the feed. Number 6, lastly, increase the number of people your place sleeps by adding a futon or sofa bed. For example, if you have a 3-bedroom place with 3 queen beds and sleep 6, you can increase that to sleeping 8 by adding a queen air mattress in the living room. Many people will not choose to use your air mattress, but it will increase your search clicks on the host website, which will then bump up your visibility. So, if you own a short-term rental and are feeling a pinch, you're not alone. To beat out your competition, try some of these nuggets and watch those bookings grow. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest, Chris Larsen, is the founder and principal of Next Level Income. Chris has been investing in and managing real estate for over 20 years. While still a college student, he bought his first rental property at the age of 21. From there, Chris expanded into development, private lending, buying distressed debt, as well as commercial offices, and ultimately syndicating commercial properties. He began syndicating deals in 2016 and has been actively involved in over $1 billion of real estate acquisitions. Chris is passionate about helping investors become financially independent. I have been waiting for this interview, so welcome to the show, Chris Larsen.
Jen, thanks for having me. This is going to be exciting. And I got to tell you that those tips you gave are fantastic. We have 2 Airbnbs, and we do pretty much all of those things. So fantastic advice.
Do you have any others? Any other nuggets?
Ooh, I like I think the easiest one that you mentioned there is like once a week, updating your images. And the thing is, all you have to do is shift them around a little bit and it'll raise your it'll raise your
visibility
listing
Yes.
and visibility. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great nugget I got from someone. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're not talking about short-term rentals. I am so thrilled to have you on the show today because it is rare for me to have guests send me their book before the show. So I have been digging into this book. I love it, but I want to start with how you got involved with real estate. And
Yeah.
in the first chapter in your book, you talk about the passing of your father and your best friend. So how did that change from being a professional cyclist to becoming an investor?
Yeah, I think, and this is actually fairly well researched out there. I'm a Malcolm Gladwell fan. So he wrote the book Outliers, and years went by and I really didn't fully appreciate the mindset shift that I had. And I will say that, losing my father definitely had an effect, but really losing my best friend, he was 18. I had just turned 19 just a couple of weeks before he passed away. It really had a profound impact on me. And when I read Outliers, it kind of reinforced this point. Malcolm Gladwell talks about how people that lose a parent early in life tend to be more successful. And as I thought about this over the years, I'm a numbers guy. I have an engineering degree from Virginia Tech. We were talking about me getting shot at on my bike when riding around outside of Virginia Tech before the show. True story. But don't advise going out that way on that road. But no, but I'm a numbers guy. And if you think about it from an equation perspective, when you're young, you think you're going to live forever, right? So if the value of time is time divided by the number of days you think you're going to live, if that number is infinity, then that value is going to go down. It actually is going to go down to zero if that number is infinity, if you think you're going to really live forever. As soon as you place a value on that number, on that denominator in that equation, what happens is that value goes up exponentially. And I really think that's what happened. And for me, I was racing bikes, and for anybody that's familiar with cycling, a lot of cycling, you're just kind of like riding around in circles, whether it's a dirt track or on a trail or on a course on a road. And I just realized at one point after racing for another year after my friend died, there wasn't a lot of meaning left in it. And I didn't want to have any regrets in life. And I thought, if I just keep doing this, there's going to be a lot that I pass up on. And it was a tough time in cycling, to be fair. It was the late 90s. There was a lot of turmoil in cycling with drugs and different things that were kind of coming out at that time. On that note, I actually got to train with Lance Armstrong. So I was riding at a fairly high level at the time. But I came back after that summer of racing. It was my junior year of school. I quit. And I said, all right, no regrets. I'm going to live life to the fullest. I'm going to live life on my own terms. And what that means in today's society is you have to have money. You can't live life on your own terms if you are dependent on others for money. So that led me to develop a path towards financial independence. And after reading 250 books, more than that on finance, I got an M.B.A. in portfolio management and finance. I decided that real estate was going to be my path to achieving financial independence.
And you lost your dad when you were 10. Is that correct? Did I read that?
I was actually 5. Yeah.
Oh, 5. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He died he passed away in a plane crash, actually.
Wow. Well, I am sorry for your loss. And yeah,
Thank you.
I was reading this book quickly. So I was going through it because I wanted to make sure I read through everything there. But yeah. And the whole, because by putting the number on your days, I think that's such a great way to think, even though a horrible situation that happened to you, but that puts your life into more perspective. So thank you for sharing that story.
Absolutely.
So something that we have in common is you were in the insurance business for a hot minute. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked for State Farm.
I sold Aflac for about 30 seconds.
So there you go with the duck.
I still have a bunch of those ducks and I throw them in my neighbor's yard. So her dog gets them and it's like, Aflac.
That's hilarious.
Yes, all the time. She's like, get your ducks out of my yard. Anyway, so in your book, you talk about infinite banking, and it has to do, because I did sell life insurance, and you know what? I have a term life insurance policy. So as I was reading what you were writing, I need to switch it over to whole insurance, don't I? What do you think?
So it's not for everybody, but if, there's value in it. And I think really, if you are a real estate investor, and an entrepreneur, it makes a lot of sense. So, and look, we have a bunch of resources up on our website. So if you go to nextlevelincome.com and you click on the banking link, We actually have a webinar. We have a white paper that outlines our strategy that we call the Investment Optimizer, Jen. And what it is, it's a strategy about it's based on infinite banking that Nelson Nash developed, and he talks about it in his book called Becoming Your Own Banker. So if you're a real estate investor, you already understand the concepts of leverage. If you think about term life insurance, it's like renting, right? You rent, and by the way, it's about 30% cheaper to rent than to buy, especially today. It's a lot cheaper. It's actually historically the cheapest it's ever been to rent versus own, because rates have gone up, prices on real estate have gone up, right? So it makes it hard to own residential real estate for a lot of different reasons. But if you have a whole life insurance policy, and a lot of people are like, oh no, insurance, whole life insurance, that's a bad investment. It's not an investment, it's a tool first and foremost, but it's also a lot like real estate. Let me explain. If you buy an insurance policy, like we set them up, they're typically paid up or self-sustaining in 7 years. You can set them for 7 years, 10 years, 30 years. They can pay over different periods of time, just like a mortgage. Well, that payment, that premium is going to be flat or stable for the life of that policy. What's interesting is, and a lot of people don't realize this, you actually gain equity or cash value in that policy as the policy grows. And then the other neat thing is you can actually pull that cash out a lot like a line of credit with a HELOC, like a home equity line of credit, very similar. And what can you do with that money? You can invest it in other things like cash flow real estate. And the neat thing is, unlike what the banks did to me back in the 2000s and said, hey, Chris, you need to pay off your lines of credit and you have no more lines of credit. The life insurance company can't do that. It's your cash value. They have to lend to you, and they have to lend to you first. And they want to lend to you because they want to get a return on the cash that's in their general account. So it's really cool. We tend to optimize it for real estate investors, and we try to set it up to align with investments, but you can do all kinds of things, from taking advantage of a deal where you need cash within a month, like I did here. We got a 10% discount on a local car wash by being able to close within a month. You can use it like we did during COVID. I took cash out. I put a year's worth of cash in the bank. So my family, we knew we were stable, because having a real estate business and a medical device business during COVID, when there were no surgeries and nobody had to pay your rent, that was a pretty crazy time. So, whether you're an entrepreneur looking to build a stable income stream in retirement, whether you're looking to save for college, like I originally set up our policies to do for our kids so we didn't have to stick them into a restricted 529 plan, or whether you're an investor that's looking to optimize the way you invest and really become your own bank, it's a strategy that can be very powerful.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had the whole Aflac experience after I got involved with real estate, so I would have known to pick a better policy there. But I was, that is such a good nugget. What are the, say, terms to borrow from your own life insurance policy?
That's the best part. So, you can get typically up to 100% of the cash value of your policy out. And I actually have it structured now so that I have a line of credit that's secured by my cash value of my life insurance policy. And if you go straight to the life insurance company, it typically takes about 3 to 5 business days. And, they'll just put the money in your account. I can get the money. I can have it wired within an hour. Wow. So, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars without any approval, anything. All you have to do is just like wiring cash from your bank. It's very, very, very easy, very seamless. No approvals, no paperwork. It's very powerful.
But do you have to pay interest on it?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So there's no free lunch, but here's what's cool. So yes, you have to pay interest. So if you borrow money, from your insurance policy. So let's say, and it has to be structured with the right company. And what I mean is you can't just go, you can't go to State Farm and do this. Okay. And I talked to my State Farm agent. I was with State Farm prior. I was licensed with State Farm. I have a lot of our insurance with State Farm, but not my life insurance. And here's why. You need to be with a mutual insurance company that allows you to borrow money out and still pay you dividends. And what I mean is, when you're an insurance company is a business, so that business, they have to have enough cash on hand to pay their obligations. And law of large numbers, they say, okay, we know that a certain number of people are going to die a year, and we're going to set aside enough money to pay those claims. Any successful business has to turn a profit, right, Jen? So with that profit, a mutual insurance company, now they're going to invest their cash and they're going to turn a profit. But with that profit, that actually goes back to the insurance, the policyholders at the end of the year, and it's called a dividend. So much like a stock has a dividend. So what happens is at the end of the year, you have your guaranteed rate. So like in my policies, I'm guaranteed to be paid 4% a year, guaranteed. Plus I get a dividend. In the past couple of years, my average return has been nearly 6% with the guaranteed rate plus the dividend. So if I'm borrowing at say 5% or even 5.5%, I'm getting 6%. I'm still earning a spread even if I'm paying that. Now here's what's really cool. Just like a mortgage, I'm paying that interest down on that policy, but that in those dividends are compounding, right? So just like if you have a house that's worth $500,000 and it goes up in value 10% each year, but you're paying the mortgage down every year, the spread between what you owe and the value of that house is growing in an exponential fashion. So if you look at it over a long period of time, it can be, these numbers can get pretty big. And what's nice, again, it's not magic. It's a vehicle, it's a tool, it's a strategy that you can use. And typically investors can add like 1% to 2% on top of their returns while using it. But the other thing is it has a lot of other values with respect to that. You can set up, trusts and funding for, future generations. You can, these are private contracts. So, like Ken Lay with Enron, he stuffed a bunch of money into his life insurance before, he got pinched, for what he did, and nobody could take it from him. So, I don't suggest you go and commit crimes and stick money in life insurance to get away with it. But my point is these are private contracts, and it's in my mind, especially with what's going on with the banks right now. I'm super comfortable with the money that I have in my life insurance policy. I don't have to worry about that compared to, if I had, a few $100,000 in a bank right now, I'd be concerned about having that much money without being FDIC insured.
Man, I love geeking out on topics like this. That was
right.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you for that. Yeah. All right. So I want to kind of dive into the difference between active income and passive income. And I love how you describe it in your book. So I'm literally just going to read what you wrote in here. So active income is the income you make from your job, profession, small business, or investments that you must personally manage. You also call this trading time for money. Ugh. It's typically taxed at the highest rates and is not scalable. So that's 95% of the US. People work in and then they're paying high taxes, et cetera. Now, passive income is income made from an enterprise in which the owner is not directly involved. If you can't walk away for a year while your income continues to stream in, then it's not passive. That is what hit home to me, Chris. Rather than producing, exactly. Rather than producing income through the required input of your time and effort, your invested capital is the only input required in a truly passive investment, which makes passive income scalable. So one of your bullet points here is you talk about the holy grail of real estate investing. So with passive income in mind, what is this holy grail of investing?
Yeah, so the book's it's about value add real estate, but it really talks about multifamily real estate and there you go. And again, if you want to get a free copy of this book that Jen's holding up, go to our website, nextlevelincome.com. If you click on the book link, under resources and you put your address in. If you're in North America, I'll even send you a copy. You can download it. You can download the ebook, the audiobook, but I'll send you a copy if you get that. And we talk all about the value add strategy, but specifically in multifamily real estate. And when I started writing this book, now she's going back 6 or 7 years. If you look at the demographics of multifamily real estate or apartments, what I talk about is the lack of housing in this country. We are still digging out of the hole coming from the overbuilding and the excess leading up to 2008, 2009. Basically, production building stopped after 2009. And we were building a couple 100,000 units a year. Well, from now until 2035, we need 4.5 million new units of housing. Okay.
Wow. Over
the next 12 years. 4.5 million units. So we're talking about 350 to 400,000 units per year that we need to build just to meet demand. So I saw this demographic need. I saw the scalability of it, the ability, to create revenue and operational efficiencies and drive the profitability of these endeavors. And I stole this a little bit from Ray Dalio, who runs Bridgewater Capital. Actually, I think he's actually stepped away from it at this point, but a lot of people say he's the most successful investor, even more successful than Warren Buffett. And he said, if you can decrease the risk in your portfolio and increase the returns, that's the holy grail of investing. And that is exactly what multifamily real estate does when added to a portfolio, as I illustrate in my book. And that's why I call it the holy grail.
So how does one get started in investing in multifamily? Because I'm there right now. I just shared with you as we were chatting before. By the way, and when you signed on, I'm like, your face, because you have a full face of hair right now. You have your beard that you will be shaving shortly, but I just thought that was funny. I had to make sure I included that.
That was one of the most startling and first comments I've ever gotten. So I was like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? But yeah, so I have a beard every winter, and then I shave it off when daylight savings time hits. But I told Jen before the show I delayed it this year because it's gonna be back down in the 20s this weekend. I wanted a little extra warmth when I'm standing outside watching my boys play lacrosse tomorrow. But there's a lot of ways to get involved. So if you're listening and you're actively involved in real estate, as I was, residential for about 15 years, and you're buying properties, it's a fantastic way to get started. But at some point, what I found is most people that invest in residential real estate say, okay, enough's enough. Like, I don't want 100 houses that I have to manage. And you can buy smaller properties, like, Jen, I believe it's a 12 unit that you're acquiring right now. That's a great size that you can get a lot of the benefits of having multifamily. I joke around because I bought 2 townhouses side by side that were each 3 bedrooms, and I rented them to students. So that was kind of like a 6-bedroom multifamily or 6-unit multifamily property, if you kind of look at it that way. Now we call them house hacks, right?
Right.
You can do it like that. But the thing is, once you get to a certain size, 20 units, 50 units, 100 units, it's not that much different buying or owning 20 units than owning 200 units. You have a management team in place, and this is where it really gets fun. So once you get to a point where you have some scalability and the numbers work, you can actually hire somebody to come in and run your business, run your apartment for you. And if you want to do that, there's a lot of great resources to help you get started to do that. Or what we do, we don't actively teach investors to be active in the multifamily side, but what we do, Jen, is we offer syndications. And if you're not familiar with what a syndication is, it's a partnership. It's a partnership between what are called general partners or operators, which is what myself and my partners are, and limited partners or LPs, so GPs and LPs. And what's fun is those limited partners, they get to invest their capital. And I mentioned, what a passive investment is. They get to invest their capital.
Do they have to be accredited?
Yes and no. So there's we have offerings for accredited and non-accredited investors.
Nice.
And I'll address that in one moment here as well. But so you can get involved in multifamily real estate just like I did. I started investing as a passive investor. And by the way, I'm still a passive investor in about 3 dozen different investments, in addition to being an active investor. So you can do both. But yeah, if you're accredited, what that means is you have a personal income of $200,000 or more, a joint income of $300,000 or more, and you've had that for at least 2 years, or you have a net worth of $1 million or more, not including your personal residence. So, if you're moving forward and you're like, well, Chris, I'm not quite accredited. We actually do have offerings that, if you're sophisticated, if you understand real estate, and, we have a call with our team, and we determine that you're a good fit for this. We can accommodate certain investors that aren't yet accredited, or you can start off on your own and build like I did, build a portfolio, build an income, build a net worth, and then ultimately transition. So what I did, Jen, as I built up our net worth, I'll never forget when I first did $100,000 net worth. It was a huge day for us. And then, $100,000 of income, and then you hit your first, million in net worth, or, maybe you're at $1 million of income and you're listening. That's amazing. Well, at some point you say, okay, how do I scale this? So what I started doing was I started selling off our residential properties. So every year I'd sell a property, and I'd take that capital and sometimes some additional capital that I'd saved up from my sales profession, and we'd invest that into a passive investment. And my whole goal getting started was to do $100,000 a year on average for 10 years. And I said, if I can do that, I'm going to be able to be financially independent at the end of those 10 years.
And now you're up to 5 billion.
Well, we are at about 1.5 billion today. So yeah, we have over 3,000 units of apartments. We also have a dozen self-storage facilities. We have 18 car washes that we own as well. We also have 10 mobile home parks, hotel, we got some office space. We have a lot of different things that we do. And we allow investors to come along on most of these projects along with us too.
Well, forgive me. In the intro, yes, I did say 1 billion. For some reason, I had a 5 in there. So
there's a 5. Well, there's a 5. It's about 1 point. Yeah, I have to go add it up. I need to update it. We actually closed on 2 properties here in this past week. So that number is always going up and down depending on how we sell and what we buy. So
when you say you said you offer syndication?
Yeah. So if people are interested in learning more about this, we syndicate our apartments, our self-storage properties, our express tunnel car washes. People may be familiar with them. It's the washes that you park your car on a conveyor and it sucks you through in 3, 4, 5 minutes and washes your car. And then also mobile home parks, which are great as well. We also have a debt fund where we lend to flippers. And again, almost all of these are open to investors. So if you want to learn more about that, we have an invest link on our website, and you can set up a call with our team, learn more about that, and gain access to our deal flow as well.
So forgive me, if this is a stupid question, but I find a 50 unit apartment building and I need help raising money. Do I come to you and you're going to help me syndicate, or you're saying that I'm asking? So, or is it because you have people who syndicate and lend on your deals?
Yeah, good question. So we find our own deals that we offer to investors to come and invest in. But if you did have a deal like that, Jen, and you wanted to chat with me, I'd be happy to have a call with you and see what we could do to help you out. We
are just 4 hours apart from each other. You're in Asheville and I'm in Raleigh. Right. You never know. It just may knock on your door someday and see your shaved face at that point. All right.
Depends on the month, but yeah, you might.
Your face. All right. So you have a new course that I want to get into because I love how real estate investors, we are so giving back of our time. Once we get to that, because we hustle, and then we start earning that passive income. And that's when we want to start giving back. You have one called 6 Figures of Passive Income Roadmap. So tell us a little bit about this course that you're offering.
Yeah, and you don't know this, but I'm going to give your listeners a special code, and we can do code GEN, JEN, and we'll set you up with a link here. So afterwards, yeah, your listeners, if you're listening today, you get a third off the course, so nice discount. So I've been coaching individuals. I actually started coaching in college when I was racing bicycles, Jen. But started coaching people that wanted to progress in their journey towards financial independence here over the past few years. And I found out 2 things. One, I can only coach so many people. So I'd coach 10, 12 people a year. And not everybody can afford coaching because it's typically about $30,000 a year to work one-on-one with me. So we put this course together. It's the exact framework that I teach to each of my coaching students. We go through how to make more money. So if you're working, you're like, Chris, this sounds great, but I don't have money to invest or I don't have enough time. I'll show you how to gain 20 to 40 hours a week so you can make more money. You can carve out time for what's more important to you or a side hustle. We'll talk about how to keep more of your money. We talk about tax strategies. My personal attorney gave his entire course to all of our students right inside of my course. So awesome. You can access that. And it's specifically structured towards real estate investors. It's fantastic. It's all in there. And then we also talk about investments. Do you want to be active? Do you want to be passive? If you want to be passive, how do you evaluate a syndication? What are the right questions to ask? Because what I found is there's so many investors, even if you're familiar with real estate, what do you ask a syndicator? What questions are there to ask? So you actually have the information to determine, is this not just a good investment, but is this someone I actually want to invest with? And we even include a spreadsheet, which is fantastic. It shows you exactly when, I'll say exactly when. It shows you when you can achieve financial independence based on the investments you're making, how much money you want to put in there. And it goes, you can get super deep. You have your advanced section if you want to really get deep down, and you're really analytical into these, or it has your higher level questions that you're going to ask, and it even teaches you how to score these syndications and these deals that are out there. So we'll make sure you have that link, Jen, that you can include in the show notes here. And you can check out the link to the course on the website under resources as well. And just click on course and you'll go right there, and then we'll get you that code, Jen, Jen, to get that discount.
Awesome. And that is such a great sounding code. Ooh, I love it. So you heard me give 6 nuggets on Airbnb. I do a badassery bestowment. Do you have a badassery bestowment that you can share, maybe a little piece of advice for our listeners?
Yes. So, we started kind of on, I'll call it a little bit of a downer. We talked about, loss of my father, loss of my friend. And frankly, just 2.5 weeks ago, I lost another really good friend.
So sorry.
And thank you. It puts life into perspective, but just because you appreciate how finite life is and how precious life is, I want you to think about something differently. So I want you to close your eyes if you're listening and think about, how old do you think you're going to live to? So write that number down. And a lot of people say, I think I'll live to like 85. That seems to be popular, 85, 90. It's usually about how old your grandparents lived, or, it's kind of what life expectancy is. But let me ask you a second question. If you were a year away from that age and you were in perfect health, vitality, you have all the money you need, your family's healthy, you're having a great time, lots of friends, lots of community, would you still think you're going to live to 85? Would you still think you're going to live one more year? Do you think you might live longer? Most people say, 100. Maybe I'll live to 100 now. What if you could change that, okay? And say, okay, I'm not going to live to be 85. I'm going to live to be 100, 120. I say 122 because that'll get me to the year 2100. Okay. I was born in 1978. How would you live your life differently? And this is the other side of that, which is, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to live every day as if it's my last, now you have to think more exponentially, because you have to shape your life, your investments, not in a scarcity mindset where you're going to quote unquote retire and only live to a certain age, but you're going to have to create more money, more wealth, more experiences, and you're going to have more time to do that. So I want you to think about that process. And if you've written down those numbers, what you thought and now what you think you can actually live to, now take the next step this weekend or when you have a little bit of time, and think about how your life would be different and what you have time to create and the impact that you can make on other people's lives.
I just like you more and more as I keep listening. I just may have to sneak over to Asheville sooner than later. We were talking about my favorite brewery over there. So I may have to go get some Ginger's Revenge at some point.
Come on over.
Soon.
We'll have a drink.
Yes. All right. Well, I know you have to pick up your son from school here shortly. So the second part of the podcast, we're going to kind of zip through here. And I use the acronym BADASS, which, Chris, you're clearly a badass. So the acronym, the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Yeah, read Lifespan. So it kind of goes in line with that last topic we were talking about, lifespan.
Okay, good. That was quick. All right. The first A in badass is advice. What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Yeah. So when I had my kids, I can't remember if I read it or somebody told it to me, but they said, when you have kids, don't dote on them. Don't let them know that life revolves around them. Make them a part of your family. So if you have kids, give them the experiences that you're doing. People say, I can't go out to dinner anymore. I can't take trips. I can't do this. I got kids. Take them with you. They'll be more resilient. You'll give them more experiences. I just flew my son out for his 13th birthday all by himself to meet me in Utah. We did a ski trip, and it makes them stronger. So live your life, experience different things. And if you have a family, I would share that with your kids as well.
Well, I'm allergic to kids because I used to be a middle school teacher.
I can appreciate that. Yes, middle school is that'll give you post-traumatic stress disorder for sure.
It was the best form of birth control, I'll tell you that. All right, so All right. D in badass is for drive. What drives Chris to be successful?
Yeah, so my kids definitely do that because I kind of put it through the filter. I'm like, hey, how can I make my boys be proud of me? Because I did not have that experience with my father. So I really value the time that I do get to spend with my children.
And you had a really great stepfather, correct?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
You had a great stepfather come in and teach you a lot.
I was very fortunate. Yeah, I was very fortunate to have a stepfather in my life as well.
Wonderful. Yeah. See, I read the book. I'm telling you. All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Yeah. So we just finished the course. So my goal is to help 1,000 people, this year, take that next step towards financial independence. So yeah, we're trying to give away thousands of books this year. Get up to 1,000 courses going out the door. So yeah, take advantage of the offers that we have on our website.
I love it. All right. The next letter is S for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I'm a big systems guy. And I talk about this in my book too, because if you're going to scale, you need systems to scale. I do everything from, how do I allocate time on my calendar? One of the big things that we use now is we use HubSpot, which is a CRM. It's a management tool. So we use that for, when people come into our network, how do we make sure that we're following up with people? And that's everything from, hey, did you get a copy of our book sent out to you, to, are you getting your updates on your investments that are going out? So HubSpot has been really at the core of our customer, client, investor relation experience for several years now.
And you're really good at automation too, because I have been getting a ton of emails from you. I'm like, and honestly, your picture is in your email. That's why I was like, your face. Yeah. You have a clean shaven in your photo there.
So I appreciate you recognizing that, Jen. One of the things that we talk about in the team is automated authenticity. So, this could be something, think about something as simple as, I'm looking on my website today and it's one of my good friend's birthdays. Okay. So it pops up on my calendar. And I sent him a text and just said, hey, happy birthday, Russ. So, just those little things that, I don't have the best memory. There's a lot of stuff going on. You got a lot of things going on in your life. What systems can you put in place so you help make people, feel special because you remember those things in their lives or those things that are important to them? And we like to call it automated authenticity, which is really, how do we keep top of mind those things that are most important to others?
And I got to say, yours are great because I normally, as soon as I start getting bombarded with a whole bunch of automated emails, I'm like, leave already. So you do a great job at it. All right. To wrap this up, because I know we got to get going here, but the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to you?
Yeah, I think really success it's about two things. One, being able to get up every day. And as I mentioned early on in my quest for financial independence, live life on your own terms. Like, can you live life on your own terms, which is really like, can you live your best life? And then the second piece of that, and I think people that, have kind of progressed, and you mentioned this earlier, Jen, which is really important to me. How many people have you had a chance to impact in your life? And I think whatever you're trying to do, and I tell this to my boys, if you want to make a lot of money, help more people. So to me, the more people I help in life, that is really what success looks like to me at this point.
And it comes back tenfold. Yep. Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, Chris, for being here. How do the listeners find you?
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of resources that we have today, Jen, and they're all available at nextlevelincome.com. You can get a free copy of our book. You can get that discount we talked about on the course. You can also get our free webinar and our white paper under our banking link to talk about the insurance strategy. And if there's something on there that I forgot to cover or you have a question about, feel free to jump on the contact link there. You can reach out to myself and our team, and we'll try to help you on your journey towards financial independence.
Well, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. Chris Larsen, thank you for being here.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. This has been just a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment. Jen, you're wonderful. And you definitely help a lot of people with what you do. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.